Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Greetings. So I'm driving the Ram 50. So I was driving this over to a friend's house, and I look in his driveway as I come back to get in my truck, and I got dripping from the differential, from the axle. That's not good. It had about a 3-inch puddle of fluid. I'm like, oh great, that's all I need. Something to go wrong with this thing. Yeah, it's not the greatest up here. The frame's pretty solid, but the bed's got some rot right there. So anyways, I'm looking, I'm like, ah, crap, because it's still dripping. Got a little puddle right there just from the few minutes I've been home. So I looked, I'm like, oh boy. Up here in the front where the drive shaft goes in, that's kind of wet too, so I wondered if it came from there. And then I got to looking. I'm like, well, let me follow this around, because also I thought it might have been from the drain port right there. I'm like, so it is wet up on the side here. Why, if it was down here, why would it be wet way over here? So I got to looking, and I picked off a little bit of this rust, which I don't recommend doing, because once you start, it'll open up all kinds of mess. So you're better off leaving that alone. So what I found was, get this light set here. Let me set this light here. Let me get this light set here. There we go. Right there. There's a pinhole. Lovely. So that little pinhole rusted all the way through. And then when you're driving around, the gears are turning and sloshing all the gear oil, and enough of it going down the road is coming out this hole clear up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the old JB Weld fix, which has worked for many things over the years. So what you want to do is you want to get this down to bare metal, as bare as you can. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean it off. Sorry, I'm not using a tripod today because I'm underneath the vehicle. All right, so what we want to do, we've got a brake parts cleaner and also starting fluid. So what we're going to do, take the brake parts cleaner and spray the area. Let that soak in for a second or two. Take your rag, wipe it off gently. And what you want to do when using JB Weld, it does not stick to dirty metal. You don't want to shoot a bunch of that on there, because what will happen is some of that will get into the hole and then down onto the inside to the oil, the gear oil. You want it nice and dry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a wire brush and scrub it too. So what I do is I use brake parts cleaner, and then I use starting fluid, because starting fluid is more sterile, if you will. It's kind of like rubbing alcohol. Brake parts cleaner has a little bit of oily petroleum type substance in it. It's a little greasier than starting fluid. Starting fluid is pretty clean. So I've done a lot of welding and JB Weld, cleaning the metal with just starting fluid, and it works. If I try it with brake parts cleaner, it's not clean enough. It's still got a little bit of petroleum residue in there. So let's dry it up. Hit it again, let it soak for a couple seconds, and dab it off. And we'll let that dry for a few minutes, and then we'll go back and I think I will hit it with a little bit of sandpaper just to rough that up a little bit, and then we'll get the JB Weld on there. Alright, so I've hit that with sandpaper, can't really tell, and we're going to spray it again, clean it off with starting fluid. Gonna let that set and dry for a little bit, for probably about 5-10 minutes, so it's nice and dry. And then we got JB Weld, we got the JB Quick. I like the JB Quick. Some say it's not as strong, but I've never had it give out on me, and it dries in like a third of the time. So if you got time to let something sit overnight, then the regular JB Weld would be fine. But I need to get this truck on the road within an hour. So we're going to use the quick, and that way it has more time to cure. So I'll show you how to mix this up and apply it. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to mix up your JB Weld. You want to put equal parts of the steel and the hardener. And with that same token, you can also doctor it a little. Like if it's on a hardened surface, you can put just a little more hardener in it. But you don't want to make it too hard because then it'll be brittle. So the other thing is you want to make sure the surface you're working on is clean and dry. If that hole was near the bottom of the axle, it would have oil on it, and you would never get the oil out because it'd constantly be there. Like when I fixed my son's Jetta, it had a hole in the coolant line, but there was constantly coolant in it, and I couldn't get it dry, so I had to flush it out. Same with my oil pan on one of my Cummins trucks. So you take that, equal parts, and then you just stir it up until it becomes a uniform dark gray color. Got a little extra in that, I'll throw it in there. With the oil pan, I had to drain the oil and blow compressed air through it and run some kerosene through it so that it would dry and stop getting wet from the oil. That was about a 3-hour process to get all the oil out of there, because if that hole in that area is not dry, this stuff will not stick. So keep that in a tight little circle, and that's what she looks like. So let's go ahead and get underneath the vehicle and put her in the hole. Alright, so the other thing with the JB Weld Quick is you don't want to leave it set too long because it'll start forming, it'll start hardening. Like this stuff is already starting to get a little harder. You got about 5 minutes or so to get that on your area. So I'm just going to smush it in the hole and cover all around it. And then I'll smooth out the edges so that it's not a big blob. It stays tight. Yeah, make sure it's clean and dry. Let me get this out of the tripod here. So that's what she looks like. So what you want to do is you want to leave this set for at least a half an hour. Follow the directions on the little bottles. I'm not sure what they say on there. It'll say on the back. So I'm going to leave this for about an hour. And you want to, like I said, you want to spread it around the hole, not just right in that area, so it has room to grab onto the metal surrounding it, which will make a better bond. Alright, so yeah, it's been 10 minutes and that's hard over the top. Dig my fingernail in there a little bit. That's pretty hard. So I'm going to let it sit and cure a little more. One thing I did want to mention, I was very careful when I start picking around the hole, because once you start picking at these, you know, my OCD gets me and I like to pick at these scabs. Don't do that, because then it starts opening up a whole bunch of holes, and the one you're trying to clean will get bigger and bigger the more you pick at it. So leave it alone. Avoid the temptation. So that's pretty much how JB Weld works. Now the quick weld sets hard, and it sets within 4 to 6 minutes, and then it fully cures in about 4 to 6 hours. The JB Weld regular sets up in about 1 to 3 hours, and then it takes 12 to 15 hours to fully cure. So that's one reason I use the JB Quick. I did look at the strength ratings. The JB Weld regular can withstand heat up to 500 degrees and is like 5,200 pounds tensile strength. The JB Weld Quick is withstand temperatures up to 300 degrees, and tensile strength is about 3,700 pounds per square inch. So the JB Weld Quick is about 2/3 as strong as the JB Weld regular. So I want to throw that out to you so everybody knows. For the stuff I do, that's more than enough for what I need. So the quick works fine, JB Weld quick. So I will call this done, and I'll keep an eye on it. I definitely, when I drive it around, I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on it. You know, go out, drive around town on errands and stuff. I'll come back, take a look, and make sure it's still dry. So that is how you use JB Weld. If you got any questions or comments, leave them down below. That's my little project for today. So thanks for watching, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.